Yeah.
Here we are.
Yep.
Monday.
Was this week 6 for us here on the East Coast, or the east side of the country, whatever you want to call it?
Mm-hmm.
I guess you're not technically on a coast unless you're what you must be. No, you're not. You're not anywhere near a lake. You
Well, I
are.
guess, I mean, a river.
Well, you're in the southern part of Ohio, right? Southern,
Yes.
southwestern, south
Yes,
central.
southwestern.
So, what's the closest big lake? There must be a Great Lake near you.
Yeah,
like,
Lake Michigan. Well, that's still pretty far. I mean, it's 4 hours or so.
Yep. Well, that's okay. 4 hours isn't that bad. I mean,
No.
okay. To an ocean-sized lake, it's good stuff.
Yeah, it is. Fresh water. You can technically drink out of it, right? No
Does it
salt.
it must progressively get saltier as you go toward the sea, right? Is that how that works?
I
Like you go through the lakes and out to St. Lawrence River or whatever it is, and it must I wonder if some of the Great Lakes actually have salt.
I'm sure there
Be
are.
an exercise for the listener.
If any marine biologists are listening, please let us know the salinity of the Great Lakes.
Exactly. The various salinity levels of each of the Great Lakes.
Yep. God, I had a joke that I was going to rip on you, but now I forgot what it was.
Sorry.
You got me off guard with your saltiness.
I know. You gotta you might as well just slap me awake and turn on the camera because I'm just out of my mind right now.
We can make half of that happen, I bet. So, anyways, Microsoft did announce something this morning, and I think if you kind of look at it a little closer, I think it makes some bigger news, maybe. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Yammer, because Microsoft announced today an app called Communities for Teams, which is effectively the entire Yammer, or most of the Yammer features that you can now access inside of Teams. And they also said in the near future, we're going to increase the seamlessness between Teams and Yammer, which to me just means that you can open up Teams and access Yammer, which means Yammer just becomes a feature of Teams, which means why do we have a Yammer app, which also means why did they announce a major redesign back in November?
So I'm never going to remember the timing on this, but many years ago, when SharePoint was still an on-prem concern and not in the cloud, or the cloud thing was so limited nobody used it, Microsoft went to a great effort one year to increase the social capabilities of SharePoint.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the details of that work because, it's SharePoint, who cares? But right after that work was completed, they bought Yammer. And then they described it to me, and I said, this sounds an awful lot like that stuff you already built.
Yeah.
And they said, yeah, we're going to maintain both. And I'm like, I don't understand. So whatever year this was, 10 years ago, more probably, I have no idea. I don't remember. Yammer to me seemed superfluous. I get that you buy this thing, but you have this broader brand and product and platform called SharePoint. So you put the Yammer stuff you bought into SharePoint, and Yammer as a brand should go away. That was my, and again, this is many years old. So what you just said to me is, this is kind of continuing. And so I think what you're alluding to is correct, which is that they're probably taking steps to remove the Yammer brand from the picture, because in this case, Microsoft Teams is the platform that's eating everything.
Yep.
And it's so popular and so big, it will finally subsume this thing, which to me was always small and stupid and never should have been a thing. And it's finally going to happen. So
yeah, it just seems like Yammer at one point probably had ambitions to probably become what Teams is. And then Teams just made more sense than trying to make Yammer Teams, so they're making Teams. And
you mean building something on top of like a mobile web platform instead of the monstrosity, terribleness that is SharePoint makes sense? Is that what you're saying?
Hey.
Yes. The answer is yes. It does make more sense. So
yeah. So if you're highly invested into Yammer, you might want to pay attention to this. It's only available on web and desktop. It's coming later this year to iOS and Android. And if you're still holding out, Microsoft says the app design overhaul for Yammer on the web will be finalized soon too. And I think by finalized, they mean just ingested into Teams, because
Right. Look, I mean, I said this up front. I've said this a bunch of times. We do that podcast series with Stephen Rose, and I've said this to other people at Microsoft. I mean, nobody kind of wants to admit it, because you don't admit to this stuff before it happens. But Microsoft Teams could assume Outlook. I mean,
oh yeah,
Outlook,
it could just become
Outlook
a
has
little
been
thing. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and that's huge, of course. Yeah. But I mean, that's how big Teams is. So we'll see.
I got a little sunburn this weekend.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened. So
I'm going to make a terrible comparison that you're not going to like, but I have to.
Go on.
So my wife and I watched this horrible, horrible 80s movie over the weekend. And I don't remember, actually I almost do. I think it's called Blue City. So if you're familiar with 80s movies, there was like the brat pack of these idiot younger actors at the time. They made like The Breakfast Club, which is a fantastic movie. Judd Nelson and whoever else. And then they made St. Elmo's Fire, which is actually a dumpster fire of a movie and should be enjoyed drunk or high or whatever. It is the most awful movie ever made, but it was super popular. But two of the same actors from both of those movies, Judd Nelson and I can't remember the actress's name. It doesn't matter. They were also in this movie Blue City, I think it was called, and it is terrible. I've never even heard of it. And I'm kind of I don't want to say I'm an expert in 80s movies, but I know a lot about 80s movies, and Ali Sheedy is the actor. It is one of the most awful movies ever made. But one of the co-stars is a young David Caruso, who let's just say has a complexion much like yours. And I made a joke about him as we were watching it because they filmed this movie in Miami. And it's very clear that this poor redheaded actor, showed up in Miami and instantly got sunburned over his entire body.
Yep.
So, and he's supposed to be this guy who lives in Miami and works in a fishing boat, so he should be out in the sun all the time. And he is so burned in this movie, like you can tell what happened to him. And it's like your little tiny piece of your nose. Picture that on his entire body. That's what he looks like. Anyway,
you feel better now?
I don't know. Well, I felt not really. Anyway, David Caruso, please continue.
But it was sunny, and it wasn't particularly warm, which is probably why I got burnt or whatever. But I mean, I burn under lights like this, so what does it really matter?
Yes, you are like one of those fish that lives in the dark part of the water that never sees the light.
Yes, my perfect version of a day is 82 degrees and overcast. So
yeah, although honestly,
82 might be high, but
it's been so overcast for so long. Like any bit of sun, like there was, I don't remember the days anymore. I seriously don't remember, but Saturday maybe, I don't know. It was rainy and crappy and windy all day. And then right at 5 o'clock, the sun started to come out sort of.
Yep.
And it was like it was like anthills, exploding ants out onto the street, like every home, every dog, every, family. So yeah, I mean, I get it.
No, that's exactly what happened. Is the sun was out almost all day for us Saturday, and we left our house at like 11:30 and didn't come back inside until like 5 p.m., which was wonderful. But most of it consisted of me sitting on my neighbor's driveway. Like we just had like the Coleman camping chairs or whatever, just in a nice semicircle, just drinking beer while our kids did whatever.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's how this all happened. Just.
Anyway, I didn't spend that much time outside.
We spent a ton. It was great. And then it rained all Sunday and was completely useless yesterday.
I mean, mostly it was just cold and windy and wet. Just I think we just had that one little hour, 2 hour, whatever it was.
Yep. The other thing that has happened is that Facebook has released a game streaming app place because they're trying to get into the game streaming stuff, which I suspect is, not ironically, already larger than Mixer. So...
Yes, but who play? I mean, what is this audience like? We're not like hardcore gamer types are not on Facebook. No, like,
I don't know.
What are we talking about? They're playing 4 Across on their phone or something. Like, what is this? It's like,
I
just completed a 4 Across on my,
I'm sure there are people playing like harder, like higher end. I don't know. Like,
are you? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, Farmville. I mean, what are we talking about?
There we go. Nothing like quite like playing a simulator.
Yeah, it's like watching a simulator. Yeah, just burped out a chicken on Farmville. Here's my, I don't know. Well, I don't know how these things work, but
no. But anyways, so that is now a thing. If that is something you are curious about and have been dying to get into game streaming, Facebook will now let you do that to all those family and friends who are posting political memes all day long.
Hey, anything to give them something else to do is maybe not a bad idea.
Yeah. So It sounds like my kid's finally awake. She slept until 9 o'clock this morning, which is
It's
somewhat
going to be
impressive
tough when,
for.
when schools reopen, the kids have to actually maintain a schedule. Oh, it's going to be a nightmare.
No, it's going to be rough.
Yeah.
It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad for everybody. Like, even like my wife and I were just kind of like used to like just rolling out of bed and then just starting working because we don't have to get the kid up to. I mean, we're still doing schooling at home, but like it doesn't have to start at 8 a.m.
Yeah. We definitely sleep later than we did. And we don't sleep late. I mean, I think I probably got up at 7 today or whatever. But, I mean, this is a good hour, at least 30, 40 minutes later than usual.
Easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's pretty much it for this very busy Monday morning.
Yes. If you're interested, and you shouldn't be, I basically, finished, air quote, finished that UWP version of Netpad over the weekend. So I'll start writing that up. I want to get past this as quickly as possible because, honestly, there's some interesting stuff in UWP with regards to XAML and UIs and stuff, and I do like that stuff. This platform, whatever, is not. It's not. You can't make a desktop app with it. It's just not. It just isn't designed for that, even though they've made concessions more recently to add things like menus and make it look like a desktop app. The performance just isn't there. The features aren't there. I ran into roadblocks at many levels, so it doesn't have 100% of the features. It does all the it does most stuff, and there are some nice parts to it for sure. But I need to get past this. It's just the WPF version had some. Back and forth, but it was really enjoyable. The UWP version I'm just tired of banging my head against the wall with this thing, but it's functional. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so you can enjoy that. I think I sold it pretty well there, so I'm sure everyone's looking forward to it.
Well, great. I'm happy. I don't know. I got nothing on that one.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to bed.
Yep. All right. So that wraps up for today, folks. We'll catch all of you right back here tomorrow, hopefully.
When's tomorrow? Saturday?
Yep.